Okay, so I want to give you guys a lot of time to just practice this together in groups, but before we do, let me just go through these two examples here at the top and make sure that we've got a good idea of what's going on here, okay? So it says, find an equation of the tangent line to the graph of f of x at the point pi 1. Okay, so we have this function here, 2 sine of x plus cosine of 2x. So, please don't forget what you are trying to find. An equation of the tangent line. Alright, so here's the thing. To get the equation of a line, I need a slope and a point, right? So, I already know the point, and I could actually kind of start this. I'm going to use point slope form. So y minus the y coordinate equals my slope. Well, the slope is what I've got to find. But how am I going to find that slope? The derivative, and then once I find the derivative, I've got to do what? Plug in pi. So really it's f prime of pi here, right? Times x minus pi. That's the equation of the line. Alright, now I don't want you to leave that as your answer, but now we know exactly what we need to find. Okay? So, let's find f prime of x. Okay? How would I find the derivative of 2 sine x plus cosine of 2x?
Two chain rules, and you add them together.
One chain.
One chain rule?
Yeah, like the first one doesn't need to be chain rule because it's just a constant times function.
Yeah, there we go. The first one, that's just 2 cosine. Alright? 2 cosine x. Now, the second one, we do need to do the chain rule. So cosine of 2x, what's the outer function here? Cosine. So the derivative of cosine is negative sine. And it's the negative sine of what?
2x.
2x, good. And then the whole thing times 2, because that's the derivative of the inside. Okay? Now, I don't need to simplify anything because all I really care about is finding what f prime of pi is. F prime of pi is 2 times the cosine of pi minus 2 times the sine of 2 pi. What's the cosine of pi? -1, everybody says with confidence. Right? Because we all know our unit circle. Alright, that's another thing that you should review if you forget. Okay? So cosine of pi is -1, so that's -2. And what's sine of 2 pi? 0. Okay, so -0. So it's just -2. And now I know the equation of my line is y minus 1 equals a -2 times x minus pi. If I want to get that into slope-intercept form, I'd have y equals a -2x plus 2 pi plus 1. And the y-intercept would just be 2 pi plus 1. So somewhere around 7.28. Okay? So there's the equation of our tangent line. Please don't do all the hard work and then forget to answer the question. I have students all the time who, like, they get the derivative and everything and then they forget to actually tell me what the line is. Alright? Yeah.
If it doesn't say which, like, line formula to use, can we just leave it in the point slope one?
It's pretty standard for AP. From what I've seen, it's pretty standard that they want you to do slope-intercept form.
Okay.
Okay? I know it doesn't say that, but I would just get into the habit. Let's see here. determine the x values in the interval 0 to 2 pi at which the graph of f has a horizontal tangent. So horizontal tangent, your brain automatically says what to you? What about 0? The derivative is 0, okay? Guys, these are connections that you've got to make in your brain where immediately when you hear horizontal tangent or max or min or plateau or extreme, you're automatically thinking derivative equal to 0, okay? So, I need to set 2 cosine x minus 2 sine of 2x equal to 0. Okay? So with a little bit of algebra, alright, we've got, this is where your double angle formulas come in handy. Alright? The first thing I would do is get rid of the 2's. If I divide everything by 2, then I know that cosine x minus sine of 2x equals 0 divided by 2. Okay? But in order to solve this algebraically, and you would or could be expected to solve this by hand without a calculator, okay, I would say, okay, well, I know sine is 2 times the sine of x times the cosine of x. Alright? And now I can factor out a cosine. Cosine of x times 1 minus 2 sine of x.
Wait, why are you multiplying by cosine?
Well, this was my double angle formula we were just talking about a little bit ago. Sine of 2x is 2 times the sine of x times the cosine of x. Okay? So, now I know that either cosine of x equals 0 or sine of x equals a half. And that's going to give me answers between 0 and 2 pi. Okay? So where does cosine of x equal 0? Pi over 2, good. And 3 pi over 2, good. Where does sine of x equal a half? Pi over 6, 30 degrees, right? Pi over 6, and then also, all students take calculus, so it's in the second quadrant?
Negative.
No?
So,
7.
That's third quadrant.
No? Okay.
oh wait, no, that's 4 pi over 6, 2 pi over
There we go, Sonny. 5 pi over 6, okay? Remember, all students take calculus,
Oh,
so
it is 5 pi over 6.
So it's first and second quadrants, and if we are at pi over 6, the reference angle over here is going to be 5 pi over 6. Okay? Alright, so there are 4 points in the interval from 0 to 2 pi where f has a horizontal tangent. Okay? Which means if we wanted to graph that out, we would go ahead and set up a sign diagram and figure out intervals of increasing or decreasing and tell what those were. Are they max or min or plateau points? Okay. But this problem isn't asking for that, so we can just be content to identify those 4 values. Okay? All right, that's it.